Greetings. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to build a real estate empire. And I don't know if you're watching this, obviously you have interest in that, but I'm going to give you the information and steps on how many people have done this. I'm here at the beach, walking the beach early mornings. The fog has not come off the beach yet. There's people out here that are searching for their gold. I'm going to tell you how you can do it and not have to search like that. Okay? So, how does it happen? You know, a lot of people. All right, I got a question for you, and I'll start out with a question: is how many people do you know that have a real estate empire? Okay, probably not that many. You know of some, but you don't personally know them, so you can't question them on how they did it or what they did. But it didn't just happen overnight. You know, you hear these stories of people flipping houses and flipping properties, and that's a little risky because, you know, you got to put the money out. You're rehabbing with the hopes of the property increasing in value, and you then not holding on to it for too long, and then hoping you can sell it at a profit and not have to discount it to unload it. And I've seen a lot of people make this mistake where they put too much money into it because they found there was another problem beyond the problem. This hides cosmetics. You know, everybody likes the TV shows. You know, you flip and you make, and they show you how much money they make and that sort of thing. I'd love to see the episodes where, in fact, not making a TV show, but the facts are how they lost money, because that's not the way long-term money is made. What happens when the music stops? Because it will again. But if you have cash flow properties, if you have the rental machines that are constantly bringing you money in, long-term, those properties, after time, the compounding of that income consistently flows, and that's how many people have made money. Now I want to show you something. You see all these condos behind me. You know, a lot of times people will go to a hotel here, and I'm in Myrtle Beach right now, I'm walking the beach, but they'll go to the beach and they'll go to what they think is a hotel. But believe it or not, many of these properties are owned by individuals own each particular unit, and then they have a front desk that rents it out for them. So they get money on a nightly basis, on a weekly basis, or monthly, even in the winter months. Some people come here for snowbirds. They get out of the weather for the winter. We have a long season here, but the idea of building a real estate empire just doesn't happen. It takes time. You don't just jump into it. You know, anything big that has ever happened to you didn't happen quickly. And what I mean by that is most of the big things took time. Like if you're courting, you don't just jump right into getting married. It takes time, right? So just think of it like that. It takes time to build. You got to start with one, and many people never start. And here's something that I've seen a lot of people do, and this is a mistake I don't want you to make. They will go to one of these real estate seminars and supposedly learn all the tips and secrets. Well, the fact of the matter is the only person that's making money at those things is the person that is selling something. And trust me on this, every single one of them is selling you a program, is selling you something to how to do it, okay? And they'll give you the mentoring and the steps and yada yada. Nothing happens until you actually start. And a lot of that stuff is, again, back to the flipping, or, you know, how to do this. People who have made big money in this never are flipping. They're buy and hold. And look at this. This is the big difference. Buy and hold for the long term. sell it if it's an appreciating after time, but they're working on the rental income the whole time, okay? These are the people who make money. We're not talking about the get rich quick, because guess what? Who do you know who's ever gotten rich quick? And the instant success, whenever you hear about these get rich quick, you know, they got rich quick, and it took them only 15 or 20 years because they started out years ago. It doesn't just happen overnight unless you hit the lottery, and the odds of that happening are slim and none. Again, it's foggy here on the beach. You can't see a couple buildings behind us. You can hear the ocean in the background, and you know, one day I want you to be here out on the beach walking, getting your exercise. So how does it happen? Well, some people start off with one, okay? Now, in buildings, in condos, I'm just giving you this example on the beach here, you've got efficiency units. You've got 1 bedrooms, you've got 2 bedrooms, you've got 3 bedrooms, 4 and 5, you have penthouses. Man, it's getting foggy here, huh? Penthouses, it's really rolling in. You got beach houses. There's a lot of different things. And let me ask you this question. Will properties increase in value over the long term further inland or somewhere close to water? I think you know the answer to that question. Which one's going to increase? I'm not saying that properties won't increase in value over the long term inland, but just take a look at over time. Past history is your best calculation. And again, whenever you invest, there are risks, but I'm telling you how to reduce those risks. So, the buy and flip, banks don't like lending money on that stuff. Why? Risk. Okay, they're looking for the sure thing. If an income property is giving you cash flow, guess what? They're more apt to lend money on that. And that's one indicator of why it's probably a better investment long term. It's more stable. You know, people call and talk to our agents, and we've helped thousands of people buy and sell real estate here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And people call the office, I want a 10% return. Okay? Well, what they're not looking at is the big picture, because they've probably been to one of these seminars, they read a book, they saw something online, 10% return is what you need. I'm going to tell you what happens, and on some of those, what I consider to be, first off, slow and steady wins the race every single time. The quick, usually there's a risk and usually get burned. They'll make one deal and the next one, they're in the hole and it's over. Their whole idea is over. So slow and steady, cash flow is what I'm talking about. So the 10% return, don't expect big returns. There's a lot of things that will happen over time that you can't calculate. Let me just talk about that. I've been and owned properties in downtown metro cities, older properties, and I'm going to tell you there's a risk. Here's the deal. You're taking the risk if the house or the condo or whatever it is building was built prior to 78. There's lead-based paint. You have a risk of getting a lawsuit unless it's been renovated and you can prove, and there's all kinds of certification with that. People don't do that. They look, and I was asked to get in on a deal for a commercial property years ago, and I did not. Cash flow was there, but the risk to me, looking at it, was that the lead-based paint, you know, you had commercial spaces on the bottom floors where there were, you know, barber shops and all kinds of things in there, and then on the upper floors there were apartments. Problem with that is you run into the risk of getting a lawsuit. Okay, so it wipes out everything that you ever built. You try to avoid those things. Well, guess what? The person who ended up buying that ended up with a lawsuit, and you know, you kind of thank your stars, and there is a God, obviously, makes you have a brain and think things out. But the point is if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So slow and steady wins the race. Over time, if you're in the right places with the right income, the incomes increase over time. You buy in at this level, and every year the rents go up and keep pace with the economy. That's one thing that nobody talks about on the long term. Second thing is, if you're in the right place and your expenses are here, and you know what they are on a daily, you're not paying for the electric or these other things that are going to go crazy, especially some of these condos. I'll tell you, you can get a condo that, you know, covers some of the things but not all of the things, and then you're ending up with a huge electric bill during the summer because people want to leave their sliding glass door open to hear the waves or to smell the fresh salt air, which is I'm doing right now. It's beautiful out here. Actually, it's you know, a lot of people think that you know, a rainy day at the beach isn't that great, but I got to tell you, it's peaceful. You get your exercise if you're walking on the beach, and it's something that you ought to do if you haven't done before. And again, we have plenty of people who have started out with efficiency condos, parlayed that into a 1-bedroom, a 2, a 3, some even 5 bedrooms, some into penthouses now, and they parlayed one after the next, helping investors to do that. That's what our team does. So how do you start? Okay, nobody just jumps right in. You gotta have money, you gotta save money. And if you've been watching any of my videos here, say good morning to this guy. I don't know if you can see him or not. Good morning. There's a jellyfish. Some shells. Anyway, so the efficiency condos, not, you know, cheap condos or cheap properties, people think that's how I'm going to start. I'm going to tell you that cheap is not what answers the question. That's not how you get started, because some cheap, you'll pull out a checkbook and you're going to write a check every month to keep it. Okay, the ones that you want to look at or consider are the ones that are, again, back to this, cash flow. It's about cash flow. It's about putting money in your pocket, not taking it out, getting you further ahead, advancing long term. You parlay one thing into the next, into the next, into the next. And then, you know, the compound effect of that is over time, that's how you build a real estate empire. And I've seen it happen many times. Many people have done this, where they started small and then built on that. Each year they were able to add another property and then let that cash flow come in, more money, put it down on the next property. So the cheap properties, you got to watch for what they are. And again, my team can help you with this. If you think that, you know, everything is equal, it's not. There's a lot of hidden traps that we want you to avoid. That's why I'm doing these videos. If you guys have watched any of these, if you haven't, click subscribe, hit the bell. You know, the bell will give you the notifications when a new video comes out. But look, I'm doing these for you. I want to make sure that you're avoiding the pitfalls that are costly. I want to make sure that you're getting the correct information, and we want to make sure that we're helping you. My goal is to help more people. That's why I'm doing these. So, and do me a favor, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hit below, say something, let me know that, you know, you're there. You're actually, you know, there. I can't tell if you're there or not. You're watching these videos. I just need to give me some support and let me know that you've seen this and what your thoughts are or what you're working on. So back to it, the cheapo condo, cheapo house, the fixer-upper. People call about this stuff all the time. There's a lot of investors out there, and I've seen properties. The foreclosure is another one, big one. I kind of laugh at it. The foreclosures, that's over with. That already happened. But if you're looking for the foreclosure, usually banks know what the value of that is, and they're not giving anything away. They're not carrying properties on the books, and a lot of them they've already gone and renovated. And I've seen a lot of foreclosures go for over what they should be going for. And people, why? Because it's a foreclosure. I'll tell you the best deals that we've seen, divorces. People need to get rid of that property. They're fighting with each other. They want to get rid of it. Doesn't matter. The judge has ordered it. Let's do it. How about probate? People who have died and they've gone through the process, a family member has been willed the property and they want to get rid of it. Those sometimes are very good deals. I'm not saying every one of them is, but sometimes, well, a lot of times we've seen them to be a lot better than the foreclosures. And what I do want to say is, people think that, you know, they can't do it. Well, you guys are watching this right now. You can do it. If you're watching it, you're smart enough, right? You're looking for this information. You're trying to figure things out. Let us help you. If you come into our office and we show you things and it's not for you, that's fine. We part as friends. But if you come in and you're looking for things and it does work out, that's great too. You know, either way, at least you're going to know by the end of the day what's average, what's way above average. And let me just say something. You're not average because you're watching this. You're seeking. You're a seeker. You're looking for the info. So, you know, the goal with that is, now that you've seeked, you find, take action, because a lot of people get all the information and never take action. And there's the other stumbling block. It just doesn't happen. You know, a lot of times you'll see that people will, good morning. Again, people jogging out here. I'm walking, getting my exercise. But taking action is the difference. It's where the rubber hits the road. You know, if you don't take action, you could know everything. The smartest people in the world can't get ahead. And I'm not saying anything about this because there is a value to education, but this is education in one way or another. People go to school, they take on debt for school, and they don't do anything with that education. They change their career. They are looking at other things. And the people who have taken action in life are usually the ones that are the winners. It's scary, yeah. You don't just jump in. You don't build an empire overnight. Nobody has. But it takes time, and slow and steady wins the race, and compounding of that. Constantly, one thing after the next. You move to the next one, you move to the next one. Not buy and flip. Anybody who's made money, you know, the other thing that I've said, and you've heard me say this before, is but 80% of the people who have money in the United States have either built and made their money in real estate outside of what they do for a living, or they've maintained their wealth through real estate. And again, it's the cash flow stuff. It's not the stuff that they're looking to flip. They didn't do it that way. Here comes a beach cleaner. There's a city at work for you. So, as I say, there's a lot of things that you need to consider when you're looking at properties, and those are the things you cannot cover in a video. Everybody says, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Seriously, in a 15, 20 minute, 30 minute video, I can't cover everything that we're going to talk about. You're going to get a ton of information of what to look for and what to stay away from. And again, if you've been watching these videos, again, I said take action. Some people have watched these videos, gotten the information, or been all over besides me, and then they never take action. So that's what it's about. So how do we get that seed money to get this ball rolling? How do we start out? Well, if you've seen some of these videos, you've seen the difference between how some people like to spend money on things that they don't necessarily need, but they think they want it. Okay, and that's, you know, every action that we take either gets us closer to or further from our goal. So these are the things you need to think about, is when I'm buying this or doing this on daily action on a day, is this getting me closer to my goal or further away from my goal? You got to be consistent. I've seen people that get all excited about things, and then, you know, a month later they're, okay, that wasn't that big a deal. Well, consistency. Consistency. Again, this long term, you don't build any empire, you don't get yourself physically fit if you're not consistent. You don't build and compound an empire if you aren't consistent. And these are the things, these are things I'm mentioning are the tools, the building blocks to getting you there. And as you've seen, if you've seen these videos, there's more people. This could be you walking the beach in the morning. A lot of people are looking to retire to the area. Okay, obviously it's a great playground here. The weather's beautiful. It's a beautiful, salty, fresh morning. Getting exercise, you get more activity out here. The weather's nice, so you're not cooped up in the winter months, sitting in your house in the snow. A lot of people get out of the weather here. It's temperate. It's nice, cool ocean breezes during the summer months. So a lot of people end up retiring here. You know, we're growing. This area is growing. People are migrating out of high tax areas into low tax areas. It's another advantage that we have, and I didn't even get into, is the tax advantages with when you're building your empire, the tax advantages that you'll get. Okay, I'm not an accountant. Here's my disclaimer. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just telling you my experiences, what I've done, what other people have done, what people in my office have done, and how they've achieved what they've achieved. Taxes. Okay, first off, if you have interest on a property, you get to reduce that money comes off. That's an expense, so you get to take that off on your taxes. Any expenses, you subtract the expenses from the actual holding costs, and those expenses come off your taxes. Now let's say that the government says that your property is going to go down in value. This is called depreciation. Go down in value over 27.5 years. If you buy, I'm using the example, a $200,000 property over 27.5 years, the government says it's going to be worth zero. So each year you get to calculate and take that as a deduction. Talk to your accountant about that. It's gotten a lot of people way ahead in life. The other thing is, as you're paying down your debt, okay, and someone else is paying for your property, what happens in 10 years if you pay it off, in 15 years if you pay it off, or in 30 you just let it go, or 5, because some people have done that. They've taken 2 years and knocked it out. Why? Because they were on a mission. They were on a mission for this cash to come in. Everything that they had, they were putting towards it. But anyway, what if you get that coming to you on a monthly basis? Oh my gosh, right? So that's the other advantage. I'm jumping, but here again, we start out with the seed money. How do you do it? You don't just start off with, I got money, okay? Unless you do, you've been thinking about this for a while. You gotta have money, okay? You gotta have seed money. You gotta plant your seeds into the ground in order for it to prosper. You gotta water it, you gotta fertilize it. And what do I mean by that? You aren't gonna make a ton of money, and you know this, in the bank. You put your money in the bank, you're gonna end up probably with less, if you after inflation and everything, than when you started. So the long term of it is you got to have that money working for you instead of you working for your money. So how does that work? Okay, so let's say that you've got your seed money. It's 20-30% down, because investments, that's the way it is. People say, how much do I have to put down? 20%. But the more you put down, believe me, the more skin you have in the game, less risk it is to a bank if you're borrowing money. Some people use home equity loans to start off with on their personal house, because why? The bank is not going to, they're not going to give up their personal home. But then they have making sure that it's income producing property that's bringing them cash flow, because that's less risk. Then you're paying down that debt with that income. So the seed money, how do you get there? Okay, think of all the things that you've bought this year that you could have done without. And if you put that money down towards something else. Okay, think about all the things that you do on a daily basis, where your money goes out. Take a piece of paper and look at where all your money's coming in and where all your money's going out. That's where you get a handle on what's going on in your life. That's where you make progress. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy life, because check this out. If you had this money coming in, you may have some short-term, I'm not saying, live a life in a tent and save all your money and yada yada. What I'm saying is, be cognizant, be aware. Most people go through life and they aren't. And then they end up at the end and they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're like, what happened? Well, guess what? It's the small, seemingly insignificant things that we do on a daily basis that give us our great results. And that, compounded over time, is what happens. I've seen secretaries, minimal income, put a little money away, invested it, and have retired and are living at the beach. I've seen people who would seem to have very little income, and you say, how is it possible that they could save 30% of their income and actually get ahead? And they do. So it's just like everything else in life. You got to commit if it is a goal. Otherwise, guess what it is? It's a wish. Okay? It's a dream. And why do so many people want to be at the beach? It's within all of us. The lure of the beach and ocean has not gone away. Now I'm going to go over here. I don't know if you can see anything because it's foggy, but it's this. It's the water. We're all drawn to the beach. We're drawn to the ocean. So, the long term of it is we're all going to be, we all want to go to the water. We all want to relax. When you physically can't work anymore, what if you had something else working for you? Properties that are bringing in income. You've got many clients who have done just that. Slow and steady wins the race. It doesn't take that many properties, if you think about it, to give you income. Because if you get them paid for, and that's spinning off money on a monthly basis, think of all the things that you can do in your life when you got money coming in like that. That's the end result. You got to think of that. That's the end result, is where you're headed. If you're looking at building an empire, it can be a small empire. I've seen some small, unbelievable, solid, rock solid empires. I've seen some huge, massive people who buy $1 million properties on the beach, and they cash flow them, and they haven't paid for, and all that income's coming in and getting spun off. They can go and do anything they want to anywhere in the world. And I've also seen people who have bought small condos and done the same. It's all about being in the right place, not just buying something. And that's the stuff that we'll help you with when you actually get here, is go through the numbers. My team, again, I've told you this, but we've helped thousands of people. So go ahead, please comment if you like this video. Please comment below if this has helped you. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me know how I'm doing. Give me a report card. And if this is something that you look forward to doing, I'm going to say take the initiative to start getting your seed money together. Continue your progress. You're doing good. You're doing better than what other people are that are not thinking this way. It's a totally different mindset. I can't say it right. Mindset shift. And when you do these things, you're going to be at the top. You're going to have this built out for you. And it's not going to be painful. It's going to be very easy. And you're going to be enjoying this. People say you got to pay the price. You don't have to pay the price. You enjoy it. Anyway, let me know if this was helpful for you guys. It's Jerry with Jerry Pinkas Real Estate Experts in sunny Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Not foggy Myrtle Beach today. Hope you guys are doing fantastic, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Keep in mind the end result. Keep in mind where you're going, because look at this. I'm walking backwards. But most people do this. This is something they do. You're driving down the road and you're looking in your rear mirror. Most people in life are always looking backwards. If you look backwards in life, those are all the problems, mistakes. You dwell on that stuff. You got to look forward, because if you're not looking forward, you're going to get into a wreck. You're going to be on the side of the road. Stop looking in the rear mirror. Look forward. Look to your future. Take care, guys.